thing, because you said earlier that your team has been silent, it's been the same this whole time. Was this fight ever actually in consideration?
For sure.
Okay, so it was in consideration.
Yeah, it was a real thing.
Okay. So what happened that we did not get a chance to witness this fight? Give us your version. Give us what you know to be true about why this fight fell.
So, but on my end, verbally, I agreed, you know, got a call, asked him what I thought about the fight, you know, it's for the WBC and all that. I agreed to it, you know, I'm like, it's a green light, you know what I mean? So after that, you know, me agreeing to it, I ain't never know what the money was, I ain't know none of that, you know? So what happened was, once everything came about, I figured out what that money was and I wasn't cool with it, you know what I mean? I wanted more. So that's why the fight didn't fall through, because it was everything, I agreed to everything. You know what I mean? As far as the stipulations, everything, you know, from it being on ESPN to, you know, the where it was going to be at. Like they were saying it could have been in Vegas or it could have been where dude from. I agree to everything. The only thing I didn't agree with was that money.
Okay. So when they first came out with the news that there was an agreement between both kids, at that point, the money had not been discussed. It was just the intangible, the place, the venue, the weight, that kind of thing. There hadn't been any monetary discussions. So the fight was agreed upon that you were going to fight Shakur, but you guys had not sat down and done any numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they sent you the contract, that is when you looked and said, hey, this don't make no sense to me. Okay. So it's the money. Now, people are going to take...
Bro, because look.
Okay.
And that's another thing that's been killing me. People like, just take the money. They like, just take the money. This your first time getting paid $1 million and this and that. That $1 million ain't no fucking $1 million. Once you take out taxes, once you taking out them trainer fees and them fees you got to pay. But people, the fans want to see the fight. You know what I mean? They want to see the fight. But they ain't understanding that a fight this big, a motherfucker got to get paid. Can't one side just eat. You know, I don't give a fuck what a nigga accomplished. Ain't one side just about to eat way more than the other. Cause I done put in work too. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, what I was asking for, it wasn't nothing that was outrageous that a motherfucker could have said, oh, I outpriced myself or none of that. Like what he was getting paid and what I asked for was reasonable. You know what I mean? So I just feel like the whole thing is like they could have just gave me what I asked for, you know what I mean? And it wasn't even nothing crazy. And then the fight could have happened. It was that simple. The fight could have happened. It's all about the money. It was that simple. The fight could have happened. It's all about the money.
So him going around telling people that you were asking for 50-50 is a lie.
Man, that's cat. And if he was getting paid what he was getting, if he was getting paid what he say he was getting paid, you know, Devin Haney offered him, from my understanding, they offered him like $8 million, right? To fight for Undisputed. And then you got me, then you got our fight, we fighting for a vacant title. You know, it's WBC, it's big, you know what I mean? But a vacant title, and then everything in his favor, you know what I mean? All I asked for was an extra little you know, and they couldn't give me that, you know, but if he, what he told me he was getting paid, if he was getting paid that, he capping about a whole lot. He capping about the money with Devin, what he said he was getting paid and all that. You know what I mean? That's cap. If he was only getting $3 million, you know, and I was getting an M, that's what he said he was getting. You know what I mean? That's cap. You feel me? Cause if Devin Haney offered you $8 million, you talking with, didn't he say he got paid? He done got paid way more than that. Come on. We ain't gonna cap. I'm tired of niggas capping. For real.
We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Frank Martin breaks his silence and explains the fallout between him and Shakur Stevenson, what exactly happened that led to the fight not happening and materializing. That's what I want to talk about right now in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Before I start, I got to give a big shout out to Queens of the Ring Boxing Talk. Queens of the Ring Boxing Talk. They did an interview with Frank Martin, and that's what you guys heard at the beginning. I will put the link in the description so you can check them out and subscribe. And it was a good interview. Frank Martin, I personally, haven't really heard him speak to anybody else regarding this outside of like Twitter. He put out, or X or whatever it's called, he put out a tweet and said, I ain't ducking ish, this kind of thing. Shakur Stevenson took to Twitter. I made several videos about that when it happened. So this is the updated video now that we have. They say there's 3 sides to every story. We got at least 2 of them. Shakur Stevenson was on $1 million worth of game, and he expressed what happened from his perspective. And then Frank Martin did the same, and you guys heard some of it at the beginning. Again, go to the link in the description to catch that interview in its entirety. Now, my thoughts, I mean, for me, I don't really, my thing is this: if the fight, either the fight's happening or it's not, and it looks like it's not happening, so I really don't care, if you will. I mean, I hate to sound like that, but I really don't care because the fight's not happening. So it is what it is. It's 2 different people with basically 2 different versions of what happened. But I know a lot of you guys want to know my opinion, so let's have at it. Let's get it. Make sure you guys subscribe. Now, some of what is being said from Shakur Stevenson, I don't know that it really adds up, and I'm going to explain why in this video. So Frank Martin, he told you, like, for starters, Frank Martin, okay, in this interview that you see on the screen, Shakur Stevenson kept calling Frank Martin a bitch, and we know what that means, right? A female dog. He said that he's the biggest B, the B of all B, and he like really went like off the deep end, calling him a B word. Frank Martin did respond to that in this interview, and he said, what type of stuff is that? Like, you know what I mean? We're supposed to be men, supposed to be adults, and you just basically talking reckless. I'm just paraphrasing. You guys can watch the interview to find out what he said exactly. But he basically said, like chill with all that. Like, you know, you calling someone out their name type of thing, right? But moving on. Shakur Stevenson called him all types of B's, said he's the biggest B in the history and all this stuff, which to me was a bit over the top. But that's how he felt. That's what he felt comfortable saying. So he did it. But in terms of what's making sense and what's not making sense regarding this whole thing with Shakur Stevenson is we know for a fact that Shakur Stevenson said that Frank Martin is or was during this negotiation asking for 50%. 50%. He wanted a 50-50 split. This is coming from Shakur Stevenson, and I'm going to explain why that doesn't all the way make sense to me unless you guys have an answer in the comment section. So that's on wax. He said that Frank Martin was asking for a 50-50 split, and this is more money and quadruple what he's ever made, so he should have took it. He's a B for not taking it, etc., right? So Frank Martin vehemently denies that he was offered 50-50. He said, that's not even what I was asking for. That wasn't it. I wanted a little something extra because they offered me $1 million, and $1 million ain't $1 million like people think. Like, you lose 40% of it to taxes. You got to pay your trainer. You got, like, let's say you had to go grocery shopping for your camp. You know, all these expenses. Like, and I know it doesn't, you're like, what do you mean grocery shopping? This is somebody's job. It's just like a bodybuilder. If a bodybuilder is entering a competition and they got to eat 24 eggs a day or something crazy to get all this protein, that's going to add up. Especially, remember when we had that egg hike where they were high charging for the eggs, and you go to the store and then you see eggs be like $8, $9, $10, stuff like that. So again, if you're a bodybuilder, and like I know bodybuilders personally, right? And here's the thing with the people who have done these competitions that I know and whatnot, they have to get high quality. Everything is high quality. Like they want fresh salmon instead of the farm raised salmon. Or if it's beef, they get grass fed and grass finished beef. They don't just do whatever beef. Or if it's ground beef, they don't just do, 80-20 or whatever. They got to get grass finished and grass fed and all this extra stuff and organic when they can and stuff like that. It's no different from a boxer. A boxer, hopefully he's not at Taco Bell eating the volcano taco and all types of stuff like that if he's in a multi-million-dollar fight. So you got to look at nutrition. And I know people don't look at stuff like that, but a lot of times you got to pay for your sparring partners. So Frank Martin is right. It does add up. You're not getting $1 million because you have to actually pay for stuff. And he's saying this is a big fight. It's a vacant WBC title. It's not like either of us are champions. So it's cool. That could be a big fight, but at the same time, pay like you weigh. And the other thing he said that I really respect is at the end of the day, you got to look at it like this. Frank Martin is conceding he could just stay where he's at, stay put where he's at, and then try to get a Gervonta Davis fight, because we know the in-house fights are easier to make. So to be honest, Frank Martin, what's the point of him going to enemy territory, right? And I'm not saying, like, you guys have to understand, I'm a grown man. There's a difference between what I do and what fans do. This ain't fan stuff. This is, you have to analyze the business of boxing, see what makes sense. Fans don't care about none of that. Fans just like, oh, I want to see the fight. If we don't get to see it, no matter why or what the reason is, they're going to pick a side and say somebody's ducking. They have these overused words and stuff. But you have to understand and interpret the business. The business, if the business is not satisfied, if the business doesn't make sense, you don't get a fight. Point blank, period. So you got to play within those rules. And Frank Martin, he said, I'm not asking for nothing egregious or over the top or pricing myself out. I'm just saying a bit more. And I think you could do that for this type of fight. And the thing I like that he said is, bro, he said the fight, this is the top rank. You gotta peep how they moving. He said the fight was going to take place maybe in Vegas or where dude is from, meaning Newark, New Jersey. So yeah, I would ask for more money too, because this is your career. Y'all both undefeated. Y'all both southpaws. And if they're thinking about potentially giving him home court advantage on top of you have to fight on enemy territory on another network. So they got rid of Andre Ward, right? And the rest of the ESPN commentary, you got to deal with them. They could be persuaded. It could be a close fight. You got to deal with the commentators, potentially favoring the hometown guy that they know is on their network, giving them all the rounds and like brainwashing the audience that the fight is playing out away because they got a vested interest, if you will. So Frank Martin would be potentially risking a lot and on top of that, full transparency, full disclosure, Shakur is a great fighter. So that's a lot of things to consider. Yeah, I understand getting paid. I mean, it's just common sense. And people are going to quickly rush out and say this person's ducking. I mean, how many guys have we seen that wanted more money, right? They said, nah, that's not enough. I'll fight you. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, Wilder was trying to fight Joshua and they were lowballing him. Remember that? And they were lowballing Deontay Wilder and he wanted more. He didn't want more because he's afraid of Anthony Joshua. He wanted more because it's a big fight. So you got to pay like you weigh. And that's the thing. If the business is not satisfied, then the fight is not going to happen. Now, in terms of, I told you there's something that Shakur Stevenson said that didn't really resonate or make sense to me. And I'm going to explain that right now. And that's just in the fact that Shakur Stevenson, he's saying that Frank Martin wants 50-50. He wants a 50-50 split. But the information and the numbers that came out from Shakur Stevenson, pretty much confirmed by Frank Martin, Shakur said he was going to get like $3 million. And Frank Martin was going to gain $1 million. Right? And then the fight fell apart. You guys got to follow me. Now, the good thing is when I was a kid, when I was in middle school, I was in the math club, which was an advanced accelerated math program after school for people who, were good at math at that time in advance. So this is what's not making sense. If the fight fell apart because Frank Martin wanted 50-50, right? And they're saying, oh no, the fight fell apart because he wanted 50-50. And then allegedly Shakur was going to get $3 million and Frank Martin was going to get $1 million, right? So if Shakur is getting 3 and Frank Martin was getting 1, that's a $4 million pot. It's a $4 million pot. So you're saying he wanted $2 million? Or if Shakur is getting $3 million and he wanted it 50-50, are you saying that he wanted $3 million and that's a $6 million pot? Like, it just seems like all over the place. Furthermore, one other thing that I haven't really seen discussed is, would this fight be on pay-per-view? Right? Would they put this fight on pay-per-view? Because that's how you generate extra monies in situations like this. So this is why I don't really like the fighters in DMs and stuff trying to negotiate the fights, because it's something that's being said doesn't really make sense to me. You know what I mean? It doesn't always sound believable what's being said. And then you got fighters who their job and responsibility is to fight, and they're crunching numbers. It seems a bit weird to me. So again, was this fight going to be on pay-per-view? Because if Frank Martin is conceding all these things, possibly the fight in Newark on your network, why wouldn't he get extra money? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't he get extra money? Because here's the thing, and nobody else is going to bring this up, but is Shakur Stevenson exclusive to ESPN? Because he probably is. He's exclusive to Top Rank and ESPN, I would say. I'm not positive on that, but here's the thing. Would Shakur, if he was fighting on PBC, would he want to feel comfortable, like with the purse? I know he's full of confidence and he believes nobody can beat him and stuff. But see, and that's also the part that's problematic with a lot of these fighters today, is it don't matter how good you think you are if you get jobbed. What do I mean? So DAZN had a card, McCaskill and Sandy Ryan. Sandy Ryan was the fighter from the UK that came out, and I didn't watch the fight because I was running around, but everybody that I know that watched the fight says Sandy Ryan won. But because of politics, they kept the American in America the champion. So you run the risk of these types of things when you go over to different networks. So it's not just about like ducking and things. You got to move responsibly in your career to make it make sense to justify if you're going to do certain things. A lot of people get hyped up because the WBC ordered something or said this person has to fight. That's never been a gauge on if a fight's going to happen. The WBC ordered Luis King Kong Ortiz to fight Dillian White, and Dillian White never fought it. So nobody's saying that's a duck. When there's different people involved, nobody's saying that particular fight's a duck. And I could do that all day. And then here's the other thing. And this may be Shakur Stevenson he's a dope fighter, but maybe he has an ego as well, no pun intended. Because here's the thing. I remember when Lomachenko was going to fight Nicholas Walters. Nicholas Walters didn't like the money, and then he did a side deal, and he was like, I'm willing to give you $250,000 from my purse if you beat me. Things like that. So instead of just everybody saying, oh, this guy's ducking, what I'm saying is, if you truly want to make a fight, that's what a negotiation is. A negotiation is a back and forth dialogue. Hey, I'm not happy here. What can you do for me? Oh, nothing. Okay, what about this? And you go back and forth and spitball until you find a middle ground between the two people. So in that case, Lomachenko was so confident that he'll beat Nicholas Walters, he offered up $250,000 of his purse. Shakur Stevenson is a very highly confident fighter who says, I won't lose and I believe I'm the best in boxing. So if Frank Martin didn't feel comfortable, and this would be, in my opinion, it would be the best name on Shakur's resume, and it would be the best name on Frank Martin's resume if they would have fought each other. Then sometimes you make different concessions to make that fighter feel comfortable to get the fight over the line. Like Shakur Stevenson, he could do the same thing. Yo, you're not beating me. I'll give you an extra $250,000 if you beat me, just like Lomachenko did to Nicholas Walters, or at least offered. And, go to your promoter and say, hey, can you give him a little, I really need this fight. But it looks like it got to a point where they just gave up. And that's not really what negotiations is. Look at Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. It took a minute to get that fight over the line. And Errol Spence, who was the A side at the time, he gave up several things just to make the fight happen, and it came to bite him in the butt, to be honest, because he gave a coin flip to Crawford, he gave more millions to Crawford, and did all these concessions for Crawford to make Crawford feel like he was being respected at the negotiating table, and then Errol Spence gets beaten by him soundly. So, that's why I'm saying it came to bite him in the butt. But it just goes to show you Errol Spence is easy to work with, and he really wanted the Crawford fight. Win, lose, or draw, we know he lost to Crawford, but I got to respect the man because he didn't play no games at the negotiating table, and he also gave up more than he really needed to just to see the fight through. But people are going to say Frank Martin is ducking and da-da-da-da, and it really sounds like the business didn't work. Top Rank wasn't coming off no more money. You know what I mean? And that needs to be a question that's asked to Shakur. He's like literally one of the best fighters on Top Rank. Why is there not a little bit more of a budget? It's not like they've had some big, huge pay-per-view mega fights. As far as I'm concerned, if Frank Martin and Shakur Stevenson fought, that would be the biggest fight that Top Rank has done this year. They had Devin Haney, Lomachenko, and Teofimo Josh Taylor. To be honest, I think Frank Martin and Shakur would be right up there with at least the Devin Haney Lomachenko fight, right? 2 undefeated southpaws, etc. So, I mean, I really kind of feel what Frank Martin was saying. You're giving up all this other stuff. He said he agreed basically in principle, minus the money hadn't been discussed. And then when he got the actual numbers and stuff, he's like, nah, let's up that, and then they weren't trying to do that. So then the fight they're like, F you, we'll go to the next person on the list, which is Edwin De Los Santos. And, the rest is history. I mean, that's how I see it. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Who's in the right, who's in the wrong? I mean, normally I don't even like to extensively talk about certain things just because the end result doesn't change. Shakur's fighting Edwin De Los Santos, and we'll see what Frank Martin's going to do. But I also, like I said earlier, I also think that Frank Martin, people love in boxing, they love to talk about what they would and wouldn't do, but then they wouldn't do half of what boxers do. They wouldn't lace them up and step foot in the ring in front of bright lights and cameras. So people always can say, oh, this person's ducking and stuff from the comfort of your computer and that type of thing. But at the end of the day, most people wouldn't even be crazy enough to live the life of a boxer, get punched in the face to make your coin, right? So people can say, oh, Frank Martin should have took that. But at the same time, Devin Haney was offering 4 titles. Then why would you not say Shakur should have took the 25 for Devin? You know what I mean? And that's the fake part about boxing. This is literally the fans and the people, one of the fakest sports around, because the same people who will say PBC sucks and they protected Frank Martin and he's ducking, literally won't have that same attitude or energy when Shakur Stevenson could have fought for 4 belts versus Devin Haney, but he didn't like the deal. So what makes it right for Shakur Stevenson to hear out an offer from Devin Haney and then not like it and feel like, nah, my worth is more than that, but then it's wrong for Frank Martin to do what he said? And the thing is, I like on this interview with Queens of the Ring, Frank Martin came clean. He said, I wanted more money. So that he didn't come across as a liar. I'll put it that way, because he said straight up, I just wanted a little something, we could have got it cracking. You didn't have to, the B word and all that, that's extra stuff. I wanted more money to make this make sense. You know, so he came straight up. And then Shakur saying he wanted 50-50. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about all that type of stuff. But again, if you're going to criticize and say he's ducking, then how are you not mad that 4 titles were on the line for a Devin Haney fight? Everybody wants to see that, probably even more so than the Frank Martin Shakur Stevenson fight, and he didn't take it. You know what I mean? So that don't really make sense. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. I'm out.
Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxingego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new, interactive, and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.